Hello YouTube and hello 18, this is Zach, and today I'm going to be analyzing SB19's most recent performance of Wakas at the Grammy Museum Global Spin Live performance. This was requested even though I just talked about Wakas because apparently this is brand spanking new, and it seems like this is another amazing example of getting to see the guys like in real form, live with no huge big sounds and real heads in the way and stuff like that. So I'm interested. I like Wakas as a song anyway, and I'm really interested in hearing it from this perspective. So let's get right to it.
Oh, not ready.
Hindi ko na makita pa ang liwanag ng dati malaya. Patuloy lang sa palakid ang aking mga paa, panatag na kailanman di ako mag-isa.
I wonder, I guess Ken didn't get a chance to see my analysis of this, but the first thing that comes to my mind comparing this to the other performance that I saw is that he actually gets a lot more chord closure in this performance of it than in the recording that I watched before, the Simula performance. There's some breathiness at the beginning, but as the phrase goes on, he's very clearly getting much more stable chord closure in the sound because that breathiness is starting to go away earlier. And I remember specifically commenting on in the first time that I thought that the way that he delivered his entire first section of this song was very kind of on the breathy side. He kind of shifted out of it later, but he's clearly moving into a more chord closed, fuller, thicker closure of the vocal folds. And basically what that means is that the muscles that control the vibration of the vocal folds, they have different rates of how firmly they can press against one another. And so whenever you hear people singing very fully, that means the vocal folds, when they go through their vibratory cycle and they close, it's very firm and very stable. And so when it's breathier, sometimes you'll get separations in the folds, sometimes you'll get like really soft sound, sometimes you'll even get like the impression that like there's air passing through at the same time, that kind of thing. So when you get the more stable chord closure, it sounds fuller and firmer, and clearly Ken is singing in that manner, in the fuller manner than he was the first time I saw this.
Ngunit munti ko bukas lahat ng kulay. Naglaho ang sigla ng dati, punong-puno ng buhay. Kinabukasan man ay walang patunay, umaasa na hindi ka mawawala.
So what I find really interesting about this particular reading of this by Justin is that compared to what I saw last time, he's really heavily leaning on the head voice, the M2 register, the falsetto. Whereas I think in the Simula performance, he was using a little bit more chest voice. Now, there could be a few reasons for that, and I mean, I'm going to speculate here, so don't take what I'm about to say as like this definitive truth 100% for sure. This is kind of a guess. They're clearly kind of in a smaller area, smaller space, whereas when like in the Simula performance, he's in the big open area. And when you're in these big spaces, it's a little easier to sort of let it rip, because when you're outside, it feels like you're kind of singing into the void. Like I recall a time that I had to do a choir concert outside, like in the middle of the day, with no awning. It was just us standing out on a stage, like it's a platform. And when you sing, it feels like the sound just gets swallowed up by the world. And so it's really tempting to oversing. Well, in these small kind of intimate environments, it's actually kind of the opposite. It's easy to be self-conscious about like, oh man, am I oversinging? This room's really small. Like I'm going to be really loud really easily. So what people tend to do, and like I said, I'm not sure that's what he's doing here. I'm just maybe speculating a bit. People will undersing and maybe lean on the head voice more and not use the full-on, chest voice, heavy, big sound to make sure they're not being offensive with the volume of their voices. And that's what makes sense to me here, because unless he's just like not feeling his chest voice that day. Maybe he had a warm up that day and he just didn't feel like you wanted to let it rip as much. I don't really see much of a reason for him to use his head voice. Maybe he was trying to be a little more gentle with the expression of the lines of the text, maybe, but that's all. This is all speculative. The objectively true thing is that he definitely leaned on his head voice a lot more in this particular section than he did on the first recording that I looked at. And it's not better or worse, neither good nor bad. It's just there's clearly some difference in intent. There's clearly some difference in approach for some reason or another. I don't really know why though. There's Stell. He is just, he's just a model of vocal consistency. I mean, like, I don't mean this as an insult because, some people might take it this way. He sounds like a studio recording every time I listen to him. He's one of those few people that, doesn't need a whole lot of production. You could just put him on recording and let it go. I mean, it's just super consistent. He's got excellent legato, great posture, great tonal consistency from, I say the low end, which is relative because he's a very high tenor, but from the lower end of his range up to the top, sounds like the same voice. You don't have this big change in timbre or tone whenever he goes from the lower ends to the high ends. He navigates the upper chest voice moving into the passaggio, which is like where you're moving your head voice. He navigates that space fluidly and effortlessly. He's always in tune. He uses super consistent vowel choices. I mean, he's the man. I guess, we all have to pick our favorites, and well, Stell's my favorite, but we'll see what happens in this performance. But I've got my, I think I have an underdog favorite that some of you might be surprised about. Good unison. Say the same thing I said about the last video. Now, he sounds terrific. Pablo sounds terrific there, but it sounds lower in the mix. I don't know what it is about this particular song that I've heard this from Pablo. He's not under singing, but this is twice now that I've heard this section or heard him sing in this song, and it sounds like he's buried underneath everything else. I don't know why. Maybe my ears are failing. Maybe I'm losing it, guys. Maybe I need to hang it up. I don't know, but for some reason in this particular song, Pablo sounds like his voice is a little softer than it should be for some reason. I don't know what it is. Yeah, same thing about Josh that I said in the last video. I like his sense of rhythm. I like his sense of phrasing. When he, and I saw some comments actually that said that he was like a rapper, and that makes a lot of sense as to why his phrasing might be a little bit more rhythmic. I love the way that he does these accents on the middle, these da 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 da. Like, I love that. I love how there's this punchiness where he very clearly knows how he wants to shape his phrasing with the accents that he uses throughout the lines. It's not just a sign of musical intent. It also kind of shows that you are going to shape the feel, and feel is a subjective concept, but what I mean by feel is like sometimes you can use feel to describe, like if you listen to a jazz song, the rhythm's like doom da doo da doo da. Whereas if you listen to a rock song and the beat is like da 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 da, like you can hear this difference in feel where one is kind of swingier and backbeat and one of them's more driving and forward. Some people will say that like you're burying the metronome, which means like you're playing right on top of the beats and then playing behind the beats with doom da da doo da, kind of like that. So where I'm going with this is that could be considered feel as well, other than like feelings and emotions. So Josh always sings like he wants to direct the feel, like the rhythmic feel. He's very articulate when he accents his phrases. He's my like low-key second favorite. Stell and Josh, I know that's probably like less common, but Josh has grown on me quite a bit. I mean, I like all five of them. They all have their own unique traits and everything, but I really like Josh's sense of musicality. The genre of music that I predominantly listen to, other than classical, is progressive rock and progressive metal, and that music leans very heavily on a lot of rhythmic precision. So, like, if you listen to a song like "The Dance of Eternity" by Dream Theater, like once the song kicks in, you have these sections that are like ba 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 da 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 da, like all these crazy rhythms that are all over the place. Super precise, and you know, you have to almost learn it in your head, but you start learning to hear all these interesting like rhythmic vocabularies and sub rhythms and stuff like that. But you know, I really appreciate that from Josh, that he's got that rhythmic intricacy, and I don't know, when I listen to him sing, it's compelling to me. I like him a lot. Josh is great. In case you did not know, it is harder than ever to grow on this platform, so please like and subscribe. It helps me out so much. On that note, I also am a professional singing teacher. I teach voice lessons for a living. Join my Discord server if you're interested in that kind of thing. I teach all the time. I'd be more than happy to give you a free assessment. It's totally free, 30 minutes, where you can get a good idea of where your voice is at, and we can game plan for the future from there. I also have a Patreon, I have memberships, I have a merch store, all kinds of ways that you can support this channel. Please consider supporting me. I would appreciate it so much. Thank you, and back to the video. I mean, you gotta give it to these guys. Like, it's kind of interesting that I'm making this video shortly after I talked about Mafra, and I'm probably this is breaking the fourth wall a bit, but I'm probably still getting backlash from that video right now. And I kind of talked about how Mafra was an indicator and a symbol of an industry that has kind of quantized everything and robotified everything and made everything super mechanical and corrected and tuned. And I'm sure that in studio performance, these guys go through the post-production stuff. I mean, I'm sure every artist does, but this is real singing from real people. And I heard that part from Justin, and what I take away from it is that that's a human voice. And I know that's like, oh, of course it's a human voice act, but what I mean by that is it's refreshing to hear some variation, like from the Simula performance, and then hear him kind of deliver it with a slightly different feel, a slightly different vocal perspective or approach. Just, you know, it's a little softer, a little leaner this time than the first. And it's nice to hear something that doesn't just sound like something produced in a studio, and it sounds human, and all the little like pitch fluctuations and all the little things of the scoops and the little things that make me know that it's a human singing it, things that a computer can't emulate and can't do. So it's just nice to see, of all genres, this is a pop band who's doing it real and live, and it's not fake. Like, it's just so nice. And to be honest, when I first started looking at SB19, I looked at Damn, and I was like, you know, we'll see. You're okay. You're all right. They're talented, you know, and not really my thing. But the more of this, you know, you guys are every fandom on the internet calls it a rabbit hole. Like, you guys all call it rabbit holes. But as I started going down the SB19 rabbit hole, I've really come to appreciate all of these guys individually, with the help of you all explaining kind of their backgrounds too. But I've really come to appreciate their musical journeys and kind of better understanding the intent. And I think that Justin's arc as a singer is really, from what you guys have told me, it's really nice. And I love how sensitive he is, and I love how he is not afraid to switch it up and do things a little bit differently in every performance. And he's faced some of the criticisms from fans and things like that, you know, and I think he's great. And I think that he and Josh both are underappreciated in the band as a whole, because, you know, Ken is so distinctive, and Stell and Pablo are just such incredibly like over the top good singers that Justin and Josh get overshadowed quite a bit, but they both have their own very unique and distinctive sense of musicality and musicianship. And I really like hearing Justin in this context. It's great. The problem with talking about Pablo is that it's kind of like, I don't know, who's some like iconic singer. I'm not using this in terms of singing comparison. It's kind of like talking about someone like Pavarotti, like, not that my Pablo and Pavarotti are like eons apart from each other in style and in size and then from the place in the world they're in and this, like, all of it, technique, they're just completely different. But what I mean is like Pablo clearly is like the authority of this band. And every time he takes the stage, every time he opens his mouth, every time he delivers these things that he composes a lot of it, right? You hear this authority. You hear this command of the music, this command of his voice where he knows what he meant when he wrote this and he knows what he's trying to accomplish. And he's just in control of it. And you hear that very clearly every time he sings. And it hasn't really mattered which song it was. He's always just kind of just been this commanding voice. And so when you comment on it, well, when I comment on him, I always get this impression of like, well, this guy is like the ringleader. Kind of like, with Pavarotti, when he took the stage and he sung, like, everyone was just kind of like, all right, he's the man, he's the guy. And it almost came to be that you just, by default, expected absolute excellence out of Pavarotti. And that puts a lot of pressure on artists. I mean, Pavarotti has talked about that in the past. I saw an interview with him some time ago. It wasn't on YouTube. I think it was at a workshop in college or something. Someone asked him, what's it like to be the greatest voice in the world? And he basically said, like, it's miserable. Think about how much I have to be in shape all the time and how much I have to prepare and how perfect I have to be all the time. It's an incredible amount of pressure. And someone like Pablo, who is clearly like a musical mastermind, got a musical brain, and what he creates, he just exudes music. That comes a lot of pressure because he's responsible for this whole band, and he's kind of like the guy that is over the top about everything when he sings. And so it's a lot of pressure. And so when I listen to Pablo sing, it's hard for me to dial it back and think like, all right, I need to look at this guy as if he's just another guy. I have to listen to him like this guy is the one in charge of the music, right? So from a psychological perspective, I think the pressure probably is really, really tough on Pablo. I would think, especially considering all you guys' comments about how he's just always kind of been the man who's in charge of the band. He's just kind of the head honcho. And this is going to lead me to my Papa Zach moment for the day. One of the best ways to overcome the pressure of singing and the anxiety of being on stage fright, or feeling like you have to be the one that takes command or takes charge and be a solo artist and whatever. One of the best ways to overcome that, and this is going to sound so simple, do it a lot. Do it a lot. I've told this story before. By the time I left college, I was almost bored when I went on stage. Not because I didn't want to perform. I mean, I kind of did get bored of performing, and it's kind of why I don't really go into performing now. But it got to the point on stage where I was so rehearsed, and I'd done so many performances of so many things, so many times, going out in front of an audience, just like, all right, here we go again. Let's do it again. And if you can get yourself into that mindset to where being in front of people is just your home in your head, it will allow you to be more expressive, and it'll allow you to open up more as a singer, because your brain won't be constantly telling you that you're in danger. Oh, you're afraid, you're in front of a lot of people. What if you mess up? You've always got to remember, the audience is not there to boo you. No audience is there to, hate on the artist. Every audience member goes to a show or goes to a performance with the goal of enjoying the show. So they're not there to hope you fail. The audience is there to hope that you succeed. So if you look at the audience as your ally and not as these people you have to work to control or work to impress or work to make like you, it's going to be a lot better, and just do it a lot. So that's my Papa Zach advice for today. Practice in front of people a lot and get used to being on the stage and get used to seeing the audience as your friends. And that will help stage anxiety and performance anxiety so much, I promise. Yeah, see, same thing from Josh. You get this like boom, 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 boom. His voice is really hammering those rhythmic syncopations, and you've got these other lines that are happening at the same time that if you listen, the notes are being held out a lot longer. But Josh's role is to create these offset rhythms for it. I'm telling you, that's his like unsung, understated role in the band, is to be like this rhythmic counterpoint to the rest of the music. See, so on one of the singers, I don't know who it is, I can't see them, but they're going da right in the background, very linear. But he's like ba da 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 da. So he's creating all the rhythmic complexity over the linearity of the rest of the line. That's Josh's role in this band. I'm convinced of it. Hear how linear it is on others? See Pablo singing nah, these big long lines while Josh is doing all the busy stuff. I'm telling you, he is the rhythmic counterpoint of the band. I'm convinced. And Stell is the emotional contour of the music because he's the one that does all the descants that we've talked about in the past where the voice goes way, way up and he does all the really high stuff and all the things that sounds like crying out. Like he even said that people said he was even physically crying in the last performance. I didn't see that, but like he's the emotional contour of the band. And even though he's singing the same rhythmic line as Josh was a second ago, you don't hear that punchiness in the sound like you do with Josh. But with Stell, you hear this build, this like growth, this like kind of explosion of pitches and hitting the top of the apex of everything, right? So I kind of figured out their roles in the band in my mind. It's kind of an aside from analyzing the music itself, but I know you guys have seen me struggle with the names, and I think it's all kind of come together. Ken is the bass. He's kind of like the stability, the foundation of everything. Justin is kind of the inside voices in the harmonies, and he's also the spot check of the solo singer who, you know, kind of has varying emotional contours but isn't supposed to be in the spotlight. He's kind of there to fill out the harmonies and make sure that the band as a whole sounds full and gives the overtones and the inner notes of the harmonies and things like that. Stell is the showman. He's the one that's doing all the acrobatics and the one that's like got all the high notes and it makes you get all the emotional, you know, climaxes of the song. Pablo is the mastermind who kind of takes command of the sections that he writes and uses his vocal agility and his musical knowledge to create interesting lines and contours and mix things up a bit. And Josh is the rhythmic backbone of the band. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But so far I've listened to like 6 things by them, and that's what I've taken away from this for sure so far. Stell just makes it look so easy. Melisma. Yeah, he is so good. Pablo's so good. What a beast. Man, what a 1-2 punch. Man, I love it. Like, what a 1-2 punch. Like, you get Pablo coming in with like all these crazy melismas, right? All this like wild variations and ornamentations on the melodies and all the stuff. Like, so he does all this. And then at the end of his phrase, in comes Stell with these like soaring, super high notes that just like, it just creates this almost like blossoming of the end of the song. It's so well constructed. And some people might take this as an insult, and I don't mean this as an insult, but this is like the perfect pop song, you know, because it has all the elements of a pop song, the great melodies, the catchy choruses, the diverse singing sounds, but it uses a pretty traditional, conventional chord progression. And then it has this like really uplifting build up at the end. Like, it's just like the quintessential perfect pop song. But here we go. Like, so here's all the crazy stuff from Pablo. And here comes Stell right here. Like, yeah, he's awesome. I love it. Killer. Killer. Yeah, it's awesome. So good. Stell's so good. And back to the cyclical nature of the song. The beginning being the end or whatever. They go back to the beginning where Ken's singing the solo. Low voice. Takes it down an octave. And I'll always have a special spot in my heart for Ken because he represents us basses, and you don't see that much. Yeah. Yeah, what a great performance. Yeah, what a great performance. Man, these guys are awesome. Yeah, 18, consider me one of you guys. Now, I'm not, I actually got a comment, it was funny, that said, like, clearly he doesn't listen to SB19 out of these reaction videos. Well, that's the point, right? Like, you guys want me to experience this music in real time, you know, that's the point. So if I go through and listen to all this stuff, like, on my own, it's not going to be the same as if I watch it. What's funny is that I used to be really opposed to this form of doing things. I liked to watch first and analyze ahead of time, be prepared. But as I've developed and grown as a YouTuber, I've found that I actually like this spontaneous kind of thing because I can let my intuition and my musical brain, my teaching brain kick in, but I can also just kind of enjoy the music. So you guys get to hear a lot more of my real raw thoughts rather than something that's kind of collated and calculated a bit. So it's funny because no, I haven't listened to them outside of this because I want to listen with you guys. Like that's why I keep asking you all for recommendations. And once I've gone through the gamut of everything and I kind of have listened to a lot of what the internet has to offer and I've run out of content to talk about with them, then I might go back and listen to some of the stuff on my own. But for now, yeah, I'm going to save this until I get to talk with you guys about it. So anyway, thank you all for watching. This was awesome. Like golly, what a killer performance. Yeah, I mean, this is proof that all the technology in the world can't beat just good music by good singers. Can't beat it. So, yeah, thank you all for watching. I will see you all again next week. Leave your suggestions for next week in the comments. Thanks, guys. Bye.